Van Zone was about to publish his video, right? A compilation. I saw earlier that he said in about 3 or 4 hours, we'll have it edited. We're going to release it and show what it was. And he's probably going to come to the same conclusion as Hueso, right? Jorge Hueso did, and Ronnie did too, right? So, yeah, tell us how your analysis went, right? How was it? Because I thought it was really cool. And even being far away, it's possible to do an analysis, right? Of course, it's better if you're there in person and all, right? Because then you're talking, you're already seeing things, you're already doing the triangulations right there. But even from a distance, it's possible, knowing the spots, right, where the obvious was seen. From where it was filmed, you can do a good job, right? Tell us about it.
Since throughout Mike's stories on Instagram, he filmed the area a lot, the mountains, the surroundings of his house. It was possible to make a comparison on Google Earth in 3D, right? So the mountains, they have unique features, right? Yeah, so it's like a fingerprint there. When you look at his image, you look at Google Earth, it matches, and then you can, through this comparison, actually pinpoint where the obvious was. And the coolest thing is that he filmed both during the day and at night. So you had both images that Mike recorded. So you could overlay the daytime image with the nighttime image and identify exactly where the light was. Because at night, when the image is only at night, you can't see where the mountain is, where the vegetation is, etc. But since he filmed during the day as well, we do the overlay, and then you have an almost exact location. There might be a small error, but it's almost exactly where it was, and it matched right on that mountain. The doubt that still lingered when I did the analysis was whether those lights were, for example, landed there on the mountain, on the ground, or if they were floating because it caught just a little bit of the hill that's further ahead. Could be a small error in overlaying the daytime and nighttime images. And then the cool thing is that people went there and saw that there were these lights, and the order of the lights, the sequence, the positions matched. They're very similar to the ones he filmed. What was missing, which I think will come with Van Zandt and others, is for someone to come to a position further back there near Mike's house, just a little bit ahead.
He sent the drone from his house, right? So he's really going to have that perfect view.
That's right. And then you'll see what's happening. Why does it seem like the lights are on top of the mountain? It could be the vegetation, the trees in front. It could be the slope of the hill that we don't know. And you out there in the field, and Ezio and Luciano who were there, there's no way to see that level of detail. Yeah, now with the drone flying over there, we can actually see why it looks like the lights are in the middle of the mountain. I think that's what's missing to be able to solve the case. Another point I noticed in the analysis is that the lights changed. They changed color. Now, when you're filming from 10 kilometers away, you might get some flickering, some variation that could explain it.
Can't the cell phone also cause this error?
Yeah, I even did a simulation. There's a city here in Serra da Beleza in Minas Gerais that's 15 kilometers away. Yeah, kilometers. I did some filming, and later I'm going to compare Mike's footage with these city lights and see if this kind of flickering happens. Many factors can influence it, like the cell phone type or atmosphere. Also, we don't have the original footage, which is important to note.
Yeah, there isn't then. Nobody has the original footage. So yeah, we can't even say for sure if Mike, for example, filmed it on the day he's talking about, May 31st, right? We, based on their words, want to believe it was on that day. But nobody has the metadata from that original footage to know if it was really on May 31st, right? Yeah, because what if it actually happened before, right? We don't know, do we? And because like those lights, they showed up again in the city on the 4th, right? They started seeing it. Even Mike himself filmed it and was thinking that maybe it could be people walking on the hill, going to the place. He says that in the broadcast. So can you put up an image there, Arthur? Then we can comment on it. I'll put it up here. Hold on. Because there's a recording that he later took down from his stories, but he filmed it right when it was happening. This was on June 4th, 2026. He filmed those lights again and said, but it's different, right? It's in the same place, but the light is different, right? It's whiter. And it was exactly that spot at the Paraíso Ranch, which later even Mike, He even mentioned that he knows the ranch. He's been there, right, at that place, and that he sees those lights from the ranch. But he said it wasn't the same thing, right? But what we're seeing there is the ranch again, the lights from Paraíso Ranch, right? That's how it was.
Yeah, Edison Boaventura, I just got a message from someone who said they made a video and asked the camping staff to turn off the lights. And then you can actually run a test, right? To see if those lights will disappear and if they're from the camping site. Yeah.
Nalata Driver. That's right. It's Nalata Driver. I saw it too. He's there today, right? June 6, 2026, Nalata Driver, who's the YouTuber. He's doing this live stream there and filmed those lights again. Arthur put it up. There's a comparison there. It's a photo that shows Mike's footage from the 31st and from the 4th of June, this other footage. It's pretty much the same thing we're seeing, right? And now if we take and overlay the one from June 6th as well, we'll see that it's there. Then we start thinking, do you think a UFO, I'll ask this question to everyone, do you think a UFO would just hang around, showing up in the same place and staying still, right? Because even when Mike said the object had moved, we don't see that in his footage, that kind of movement. And when he says the object passed over his house and all that, he didn't film it, right? So there isn't that kind of evidence, video proof to corroborate what he's saying. Just those stationary lights in that place that we already know is Chakra Paraíso, right? Jorge Hueso also, it seems he made a diagram, ideograma, né? Right? A diagram, I think there's a photo there, put it up. There's a diagram he ended up making there. Jorge Hueso is from CPEX, from Carlos Alberto Machado's group, and he made this taking the lights from the ranch, everything, and overlapping them. It's pretty much the same thing. The only one who's still talking, who's still analyzing it better is Luciano Tigre, right? He was there. He thinks the lights would be a little further ahead. From what he walked there on the road, it probably couldn't be a reflection maybe, but it could be some kind of mistake with vision or angle.
Could that be because of the ground slope, Edison Boaventura? Yes.
Slope of the ground.
Slope is something that's really hard to assess. It confuses him a lot, the slope. In fact, there are even some slopes like in, if I remember right, Santo Américo das Letras and other places where it looks like the car is going in reverse, but there's actually a slope for the car to go down anyway, and then you can't see it. Slope can be deceiving, and that might explain it, right? There could be a slope in the ground that's invisible when you're there. Flying the drone makes it clear, which is why the lights appear lower. So the main theory is there's a slope we just can't see, right?
Right there. Yes, and the drone will capture that. There's another photo, Arthur, from Jacqueline that shows the location on Google Earth. Right, the straight line there, starting from Mike's house, and it ends up being about 9.5 kilometers, more or less, right? It ends up at that place there where there's that plateau, there's the lookout, there's a lot of stuff there, which is usually used for camping in one area. There are also cabins where EXO was, right? So, yeah, we realize that maybe this story is coming to an end, right? And it was good, like, yeah, the whole ufology community mobilizing to go there, other people too, to bring, well, the truth about what's happening there. I don't think Mike imagined all this mobilization. That's why he wanted, like, maybe I don't want ufologists here and all, because if you get there at night and suddenly see the same lights, then it gets weird, right? You'd say, so it wasn't a UFO? And then there are all the other characteristics he mentioned, like the sound thing, about the animals that were scared, which you don't see in the footage. Nothing. There aren't any scared animals there, right? And that noise, all that stuff. And then there were people who even started to decode that language, right? I think that's absurd. How is that possible? You feed it to AI and AI will tell you anything. Now, assuming it's not a sound related to ufology, which everything indicates it's not, everything indicates it even seems like a narrative that was created there. It's maybe because of Spielberg's movie, right? That talks about the sound, right? From that journalist's mouth, right? Yeah, do you think so too, Ani? Yeah.
I analyze the sound too, right? Like the sound that you can hear well, you can hear the sound which he even mentions in the video. That sound like a rope. People who have traveled a lot by ship, by boat, when the boat is there tied up, docked at the port, and that rope is holding the boat. That rope making nim, 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 that tension on the rope. You can hear that sound, but it's a lot like the sound bamboo makes. Bamboo does it too. People even sent me videos of bamboo here. Yeah, it sounds very similar, and actually, at Pedra Cadera, I saw bamboo, so these are things we can't really be sure about or confirm for certain. There isn't, right? But there's something that's more likely, right? What's more likely is that this sound is possibly the sound of the bamboo, of the vegetation there. And I didn't hear in the sound, in the audio, that clicking noise, which it even makes, it imitates the clicking sound. Personally, I didn't hear that clicking noise, which would be the closest. People mentioned the movie, right? Spielberg's and so on.
And I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it either. I tried to listen, but I admit that I didn't hear it. So,
Then a discussion starts, right, Edson? That has no end because, like, you can't know what the person heard or claims to have heard. We work with the data we have.
so
So we keep discussing what he heard and it becomes endless.